Lay's potato chips. You know, this tariff shit and the cost of Lay's potato chips. Never mind. It's a whole nother video. You know, guys, I'm poor. I have no money. I cannot afford a green screen. So I'm just going to have Janet stand back there for the whole video, keep you entertained.
Exactly. She wants to look at us.
Thanks, Janet. Paul, we're going to ask Paul a bunch of questions. And we're going to see what his thoughts are on these subjects. We're going to go from experience in life, love, romance, finances, and big mistakes people have made here in the Philippines.
I can comment on that a lot.
A mistake?
Yeah, I can agree with that. No.
Hey, Paul, what brought you to the Philippines, and what was your mindset when you got here?
Okay. What brought me to the Philippines was economics. Pure and simple.
Cheaper living?
Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't want to work anymore. It's that simple. It's not a complicated answer. I was burnt out at work, and I'd been to Asia before, and I love the vibe of Asia. It was always I'd never been to the Philippines before I moved here. I'd been to Thailand. And when I went to Thailand, I said, this is where I'm going to retire. And when I started to research retirement places, when it came close to retiring, I switched from Thailand to the Philippines, primarily because of the English and because of the visa situation. Thailand was a hassle with the visa. It really was. Yeah. So that was my mindset as far as the purpose to move over here is I didn't want to work. After watching 100 plus videos from guys living over here, like Rike and Bud and Ned and those guys, we're all living on $1,000 a month back then, and my Social Security exceeded that, and I felt confident that I could make it. So that's why I came.
Western style life for half the price?
Kind of, yeah. It's not necessarily a Western style life, but it's shelter from the storm and transportation and all those kind of things. Just less overhead. It's not what you make; it's what you owe. And in America, we tend to get ourselves into debt, car payments, mortgages, insurance. Yeah. It never ends.
Never ends.
Here, there was an opportunity to simply pay cash for everything. And no better feeling than to just have an object that you need, i.e. a scooter for transportation, and own it free and clear and not have to worry about a $50 a month or a $500 a month payment.
So, how has your perspective on life, aging, and happiness changed since moving here?
Oh, it's done a lot. It's changed quite a bit. I look at aging sort of as a prior thought about aging was negative, that you're getting older, you're going to become useless. It's going to be, you're not going to be productive anymore. Society kind of tolerates you.
You'd be the old man on the porch.
You're just the old man. Yeah, exactly. Telling kids to get off your lawn.
Get off the lawn.
All that kind of stuff. But over here, I kind of wear my age as a badge of honor because not that many people are not, I shouldn't say that many people, but not everybody makes it this long. And not that many people make it that long with the quality of life that I have. I don't have, knock on wood, I don't have any major medical issues, or I'm not in pain or suffering. I'm fairly active. I enjoy myself. I enjoy the wisdom that comes with aging, and so I look at it as something to be proud of. That you made it.
Yeah, you made it.
You freaking made it. Yeah. You made it to 70.
Some people say, you fail. They come here and they fail. Some people come here and they win at the game. But, we've both seen many expats come here, crash and burn
big time
after a couple months. What do you attribute the reason for these crash and burns where they come here and they really don't stay that long, but it's such a disappointment for them?
Why are they? Well, that's a two-part question. So where do you want me to focus on?
Why do you think they crash and burn?
Oh, okay. I would, the old adage that I've always used is they don't slow down. They hurry up or they rush into things. They have problems with impulse control. crash and burn. Maybe they brought a lot of mental or emotional luggage with them that they haven't been able to drop, and they brought that over here with them. There's all the reasons that you can think of, but as a general answer, I would say that they crash and burn because they weren't prepared properly. They didn't do any homework. Maybe it was an impulse to come over here. And I look at all the time when I see guys really go down the rabbit hole bad, is they lack impulse control and they rush everything. They rush into stuff without thinking about it. Whenever I have a major decision to make, and major to me might be minor to someone watching, but I always give it 3 days. And I think, okay, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to move, or I'm going to buy something, or I'm going to whatever. I'll give it 3 days to change my mind. And other guys just see it and do it. They just jump in with both feet.
Yeah, I think it's money. Guys come here and they think their money's going to go forever, you know, and they're here on $1,000 or $2,000, and all of a sudden they're spending $3,000.
Yeah.
Or things cost more than they thought, and they only have $800. I think it's they can't foresee the cost of living being higher than they fantasize that would be cheap living.
Well, fantasize is a good word. I mean, they're looking at it through rose-tinted glasses, and they say, "Oh, well, all these videos that you and I and other people put out about cost of living, our budget videos, they range from $600 a month to $6,000 a month." And I don't think they took the time to investigate it to say, where do I fit in? What really is the reality for me? I've got X amount of dollars per month, and what lifestyle do I want? Some guys, of course, come over here and just hand their money over to the first woman that they meet, and they get
sucked
just sucked dry,
like a vampire sucking the blood out of you.
Exactly.
Hey, when you started your channel, Old Dog New Tricks, did you anticipate it resonating with so many people as it has?
Absolutely not. No. My only motivation to start the channel was to have a backup video diary of my life over here for family and friends. And I was convinced to do that by a number of people that saw my Facebook videos that I was doing for my family and friends. And they said, why don't you put it up on YouTube? And I said, well, why would I do that? And they said, because, Facebook might go away. YouTube might go away, but at least you've doubled your opportunity to keep those videos, and your kids can watch them, your grandkids can watch them, you can watch them. And it's just something there. It was a way to record my life. And the fact that I went public with it was just, it wasn't to, I never wanted to be the number one YouTuber or anything like that. I went for over a year doing videos before I had 1,000 subscribers. So obviously it was sort of just
more of a hobby back then.
It was a little bit of a hobby. It was also, I found it fun.
You like doing videos?
It was fun to be creative. I never had an opportunity to be really creative before. And there is a creative side, I think, to all of us. So I would see things and I would try to do different types of videos that other people hadn't done. And so I'd watch what other people do and I'd say, well, I'm going to do something different, and I think I accomplished that the first year.
It feels good when you do something and it's recognized and people appreciate it. You get one view or 100,000 views. You get that one good comment. It makes you feel good that you did something at least one person enjoyed watching.
Oh, yeah. I found that the most satisfying videos that I've ever done, and that stands true to today, is confessing, I guess would be the word, or admitting to, or just simply sharing where things went wrong in my life and problems that I had maybe with my kids or with my own self, and how it felt to feel that way and how ashamed I was because I did something. And the feedback that I would get from guys was so rewarding because they'd say, you know what, Paul, and before I saw that video, I felt alone. I thought I was the only guy that happened to. And so and they would say, thank you so much. You know,
Well, everybody makes mistakes in life.
and misery loves company.
Misery, but a lot of people
So-
don't admit to mistakes. You know, they
True.
just hide it. And I believe in the YouTube universe, people can see fake. They'll see
all day
fake,
long.
right? They'll
All day long.
you know, and people go back and will quote a video you did 4 years ago.
Mhm.
You said this 4 years ago.
And I meant it 4 years ago.
And it holds
And
true.
people morph and they change.
They
and
do.
They grow. And so what I said 4 years ago was absolutely positively what I thought 4 years ago. And if that has done a 180 as of today, that's simply because I changed. So, you know, being over here, I didn't want to retard my growth. I wanted to expand it, you know.
What's the biggest misconception foreigners have coming to the Philippines?
Boy, I really don't know. The biggest misconception? Probably the romance side of it, I would think.
On the positive end, romance, or the negative?
I would say negative. I would think that they're too optimistic, that they're going to meet somebody that's beautiful and younger than them, and just
Interesting.
completely
Out of their
it's going
league.
to be like shooting a fish in a barrel kind of thing.
Oh,
And it's not like that. And so I think that's probably a big disappointment to a lot of guys. I've talked to a lot of people that have said, you know, man, I can't meet anybody. I haven't got no game. Or this girl tried to get me to do this. Girl tried to pay that. And so I hear a lot about that. And that goes back to the old adage that I have is, well, just slow down, man. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. They think things are going to happen right away. And not necessarily.
I think a lot of guys hold on the romantic end because of all the stories they've heard of every woman you meet wants all your money or something.
Right.
And they come here so defensive. And when they do meet somebody solid, they're always asking so many questions and they're always a big doubt. And that's what I think the biggest misconception is. Everybody's after your money.
That is a misconception because not everybody is after your money.
I think everybody's after a better quality life.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
But I don't know if I'm right.
But you know, it's people love a train wreck. So when they hear about this one being scammed or that one taking advantage of him or whatever, those seem to get all the headlines. And the ones that are working just fine are kind of buried underneath all that.
It's like watching NASCAR. I don't know anybody who watches the race for the racing. They look for the wreck.
I do.
We got a car in the wall already. How many? That's what we look for. And that's how YouTube is.
That's a good analogy. That's a very good analogy.
What advice would you give an older guy coming here to date a Filipina? And age is not the thing here. It's the culture. What advice do you give a guy coming?
Geez. To date a Filipina, you're really going to need a lot of patience. Because when I mentioned that I like the fact that they speak English. However, there's such a cultural difference between their English and our English. And the connotations that we have when we speak. We were talking earlier about sarcasm and how that falls dead here.
Yes.
You know, 95% of the time. Few people get it, but not often. And so there's the challenge, I would say, would be just the communication. And, you know, you can say something and they'll nod at you, agree with you, but they don't understand it. And so you don't really you don't really get true feedback for so long.
No.
You know, and there again, that's where you have to show a lot of patience and slow down.
It's called extreme patience is the word I use now in the Philippines. Extreme patience.
For every aspect of the Philippines is patience.
And they quickly fall in love, a lot of girls. Or you think they fall in love with you. You know.
I would modify that. I think they're in love with the idea of being in love. And who falls in love with somebody after 24 hours? I don't believe that. I just don't think it's possible. I hear of love at first sight, and I can certainly see where chemistry would happen and two people would meet and they would maybe just have this energy or chemistry between the two of them.
Lust at first
But
sight.
yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
But I think that that's far and few between. I think that spending time together with somebody and really truly getting to know their true inner self, what their mindset is, their morals, their goals, their dreams, and just their general principles. Once that gets known and is shown on the table, that's where you can take it and try to run with it, or decide that you're not going to be that compatible.
Looking back,
Hmm.
is there one big mistake that you made that you'd like others not to make who follow you?
I'm fortunate. I did not have any massive explosions. I made mistakes. But I call them misdemeanors, overpaying for trikes and getting lost and getting frustrated. And, uh, but I never did anything that I can recall that was life changing. Like we talked earlier about guys that get over here and a month later they're down and out.
Right.
Me, I made errors, I made misjudgments, but they were so small that they're not even really worth bringing up. And I have talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
I did the thing with I dated a girl for 3 months. I figured out that she was just, going to bankrupt me, and I ended it. So I guess that was a mistake, but it was also smart to just cut it before it got any worse.
Back home we impulse buying a lot, and we like instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I found here was my biggest mistake. Looking, I wanted to go buy a motorbike. I bought the first one I saw at the dealership.
Uh-huh.
And the first place I rented was the first place I saw.
Uh-huh.
I didn't take that extra day or 2 days to decide, am I sure? These are mistakes that ruin you, but to do it right away, go rent the first house you see. And then you're in that house, you signed a 1-year lease and you don't like it after 2 days.
Right.
Those are the big mistakes I think a lot of guys do. They make impulse. They're in a hurry to get totally situated, spend too much money for things, or sign contracts to rent something that they're really not happy with, is what I think.
I agree. That's where I think that I had kind of a leg up, to be honest with you. I talked about earlier about preparing. And when I got on the plane, I had watched enough videos about enough guys that having this kind of conversation that I said, I am not going to commit. I call them my 5 commandments. I'm not going to do this, 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 or this. And I stuck with 4 out of 5. Like I said, I did date the girl right away, but I ended it. So that was one commandment broken. And I didn't break it again until 2.5 years later when I met Meg. But I didn't buy a motorcycle for 6 months. I rented because one of my commandments was I'm going to live there for 6 months. Whether I hate it from the first day or love it from the first day, I'm going to dig my heels in and I'm going to go for 6 months because I know that a first impression can certainly change. Could be it a good one or a bad one. In fact, my first impression of the Philippines, my first 24 hours, was a bad one. I didn't like this, and this. I kept comparing it to Thailand. I said, well, we're not in Thailand anymore. And so over time, after about 3 months, I was kind of in the Down syndrome where I was thinking, you know what? I think I'm going to pull the plug on this, but I'm going to give it another 90 days. And at the end of 6 months, I bought my scooter because I told myself I was not going to buy anything of substance until I knew I was going to stay. That was my commitment. On 6 months and 1 day, I went into Kimco and I bought my scooter.
I bought a scooter before I could drive one. I didn't know how to drive. It sat in the yard for months until I finally got Janet to show me how to
I waited
drive
3 or 4 days before I rented one. I was scared shitless about getting into the traffic and everything. I mean, I know how to ride a bike. Believe me, I rode plenty when I was a kid. And you don't ever forget how to ride a bike. Once you get on, you never forget. But
I,
it was an experience.
I remember riding in the jeepney and watching out the back at the cars and the bikes going by, saying, "Man, I can't drive like that. I can't ride like
Right,
that."
right,
But now I'm a pro until I
right.
hit that next tree. Then I go
Exactly.
back to amateur
Yeah.
status.
I fell off my own porch the other day.
How much realistically, money wise, do you think somebody needs to have monthly to just have a decent life here? I'm not talking about traveling and
Hmm.
all the, just to live, just a decent life.
Hmm. Well, I would say the biggest increase that's come along since I've been here has been the rent. That's gone up a lot, probably double
Mm.
from when I was originally here. Um, so I would say, well, I live comfortably on $2,000 a month. So I'm a married guy with two dogs, but I have this pretty structured lifestyle that's come with time. In other words, I do my Costco shopping, and we go and we load up. We eat most of our meals at home. We don't do a lot of, like you mentioned, extravagant traveling or anything like that. We've done it here and there, but I would say $2,000 would be a good number.
I'll lower that just a little. I think 1,500 on a single guy,
Hmm.
but doesn't mean you'll spend that, but doesn't mean you shouldn't have more for
Yeah,
reserve.
yeah,
A budget is such a, everybody does budget videos,
sure,
and I do them, you do them.
sure,
But a budget is really discipline.
yeah,
You make X amount of money
yeah.
and you live on some of it, you save some of it,
Hmm.
and you splurge with some of it.
Well, yeah, and it's a guideline. It's not set in stone. So, for example, last month, instead of living on my budget for 30 days, I lived on it for 5 weeks. It just went further. We didn't do very much.
Mhm.
This month, I'm going down 4 or 5 days early to pick up. I'm picking up money today.
You went broke early in the month.
It was quite broke, but
But close.
I get to a number in my wallet and I go, I don't want to leave it at that, because if the bank shut down tomorrow or the next day, I could be in trouble. So no, but there were just unforeseen things that we did. Mostly my wife did. She bought curtains. That came out of nowhere.
Janet buys curtains and chain. We had pink curtains.
And I always find out,
room.
is it okay if I buy curtains? I go, well, I guess so. Good, because I already did
Already
it. much better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right?
They come out with a new dress on. You like my dress? You like my new dress?
So yeah, we had like maybe $300 go out the window this month that I wasn't planning on, but none of it was anything extravagant. Like I said, we paid for this and we paid for that. It was just stuff that pops up.
So at 2,000, some months you're under, some months
Yeah,
you're a buck over.
yeah. And between you, me, and a fence post, I could wait the other week
Mhm.
with what I have in my wallet, but I don't want to. I want to
Right.
have it. I
Just
want to have
wanna
it
have it.
there just for security. And we've got a joint account with money in it that we can pull out. So for me, it's just an amount of discipline, and I show it to my wife and I explained it to her this morning, and she understood it. And so I think that's almost good because it gets a little corrective with her. She's usually very, very tight fisted with the dollars. And for some reason this month she kind of went off the rails a little bit, but that's okay.
They do. It's my birthday month, so
Exactly.
Janet spent.
Yeah,
Look what I bought you. Do you like these? I bought them for your
exactly.
birthday. I
It's
go.
Father's Day.
It's not my birthday yet. No surprise. So, life in the Philippines.
Yeah.
What is your favorite place to be in the Philippines, and why? Not Dumaguete, but to go visit or to travel to.
Oh,
What's
you're
your
talking
favorite?
about a location?
Yeah. Well,
Whew.
if someone says, "Let's go here today,"
Uh,
you'd be excited about
You know what? My actual answer is home.
it. So,
Home with my wife.
is that
That's
because you've been here 6 years?
8.
8? You've been here 8 years?
This is my 8-month anniversary, and the 16th of this month's going to mark 8 years that I landed in the Philippines. But my favorite place to be quite honest with you, is just at home with the wife. and hanging out because we have a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And it does, it's cool for us just to get on the bike and drive around. We'll go out and have lunch. That's fun. Do I like Cebu or do I like this place or do I like that place? I like them for a while. I like them, but we've had this conversation where you go to Cebu, you go here, you go there, and you plan to be there for 5 days. And by day 3, you're thinking about, I just
I
want to
wish
go
I
back
would book.
home.
Can I get a full refund? Well, we talked about we'll talk about Cebu for a second.
Okay, good.
We both been up there.
Yeah.
I enjoy going up there. There's friends I like to meet there,
Yeah.
but we really don't go to Cebu. We go to Ayala Mall. We
That's
check into
true.
a hotel and we go hang out at
That's very
Ayala
true.
Mall. And I didn't like Angeles City when I visited there, and maybe because I'm a married guy and clubs aren't my thing. Manila Airport I didn't like. Traveling is
Yeah.
starting to become a blah thing to do. Maybe it's my age, my temperament, but I do like getting on the bike and going for a ride for the day.
Exactly. There is, for what people want to say, there is really so much to do here. Um, that when we have brownouts, well, we've got a generator to fix that now. But when we have brownouts, we can kill 8 hours. Um, we can go to Chateau, just take a ride in the car. What's wrong with a nice little ride in the car with the wife? You sit there and listen to the radio, you have a conversation, you eat at a restaurant you haven't been to for a year. You take a snoop around, see some different people, different stuff. Come back, maybe you go down to the boulevard to some place that you don't normally go to. We'll go to Twin Lakes. We'll knock out 3 different places in one day
in 12
just to kill time.
There's so much to do around here. Day trips here are really half day trips.
Yeah.
In Dumaguete, everything is close. Full day trips I don't do anymore. They're like half day. We'll leave in the morning and we're back by dinner. So
you mentioned something that I think I'll expand on, and that is airports. And that will actually stop me from going somewhere. I have the thought about if I have to go to Manila to go to Los Angeles or to Thailand or any point beyond, I really triple think that decision because I know how painful it's going to be just going through that stupid airport. It's discombobulated. The timing is never right. If you get there, what I do is I'll go the day before and get a hotel room near the airport because I don't want to sit in the airport for 14 hours waiting for a flight. I haven't got it physically or mentally in me anymore.
I can't.
Just to hang out in an airport.
When they delay the flight,
place to be.
Kills me.
And then and then it's time to get on the plane and they find out 2 hours that's been canceled or delayed. And I think it's all those things have happened to me. And it's like, is Thailand really worth that
anymore? You're taking the wife.
I'm taking the old lady so she can snoop around and, have something to do.
Go
see
pet an
some new
elephant.
things. And treat ourselves to 5 days in a nice hotel room. But is it worth that Manila airport experience? If there was a cool way just to go from Dumaguete to Thailand, I wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could get on the plane and just go, I'd probably.
Well, they are building a new airport.
Yeah.
If you got kids, they might be fully grown.
They're still working on the road.
They're working on the map to get to it. I'm not even get to
the airport. I can't wait.
So if you could give one piece of old dog wisdom, to someone planning on
one piece I have left,
planning to retire here in the Philippines, what would that old dog wisdom? But everybody watches your blogs and your videos for that. One line of advice. What can you give somebody? Don't do it. No.
I hate to give advice because I don't know people personally. So if I know someone personally and they ask me a question, and then I can tell them. But I would just lower expectations. I would slow down. I like the idea of if you can afford it and it fits into your schedule to come out here on a test balloon, float a test balloon.
Yeah.
Come out for 6 months, like I did. That's exactly what I did. I guess I'm telling you to do it like I did. I came out here for 6 months, and if I liked it, cool. I was gonna put down stakes and stay and make a go of it. And that happened 7.5 years ago because I've been here for 8. So that would be, if you want advice, that would be it. I would say come out here, hang for 6 months. I would not advise someone to sell their house and all their belongings and everything they own, because what happens when you get out here and you don't like it, and what are you going to do?
It's expensive to go back.
Expensive to go back, expensive to start over. I imagine if you sold your house and you got full price for it, could you go back and buy another house and another car and all that kind of stuff? Sure. But why do that? If you can find a way to just come out. Some guys can't take the temperature, the heat. That's probably one of the biggest complaints.
We've seen people come out here, buy land, buy cars, buy furniture, and think they're going to be here forever. And then after 1 year, it hits them. It's not for me.
No,
it's not for me.
That's right.
And it isn't like, I think it's hard to sell a house in the U.S. To get full price. Try to sell something here. If you had to leave tomorrow and sell everything you have, yeah, I could sell the TV for half price.
Oh yeah,
and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But try to sell a piece of real estate here. Or something. No way. You're going to get you get one out of 10. You're going to 10% of the value.
You made a good point though. Is you can sell land relatively quick out here, an empty lot. You can sell because you're not selling land; you're selling the dream of building your home. But once I've built a home or you've built a home,
you'll never get
that's not going to be that guy's home. He's always going to see something he would have done different or doesn't like. And so to build a home out here for profit, I think is ridiculous.
It is.
The reason I want to build a home is obviously the same as yours, leave something behind for the wife so that her future secured. And also just not, again, it's not what you make, it's what you owe. So I don't know what the future of real estate out here is going to be or what the future of rents are going to be. But if my rent is $0 and it costs me $100 a month just to maintain the place, I like those odds.
It's a hedge against inflation, against old age, when you can't do it. You don't want to do anything anymore.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the idea of my overhead being $100 plus gas and food.
Yeah.
So.
And I can live off less food. At least I think I can. I don't think so. Potato chips are costing more and more. Lay's potato chips. This tariff shit and the cost of Lay's potato chips. Never mind. It's a whole nother video. Hey, Paul, thanks for being with me today.
Mikey.
Until next time.
Brother. See you, crazy people.
We'll see.